Hello, I'm standing this time at the Seattle Waterfront, and I want to show you what has been happening here for the last long while and take a tour up the waterfront all the way down the water here. The first thing to mention is that the Seattle Waterfront has been undergoing a lot of construction for like the last 400 years, and they're working on it. So we want to see what they have accomplished and what will end up shaping up here. Is it going to be a big improvement? Is it going to be very nice? Is it going to be okay? Let's see. This is the Seattle Ferry Terminal, where there are a lot of boats and it's big infrastructure. Many passengers arrive here every day. As you can see right now, the boats are emptying out from either Bainbridge Island or Bremerton, which are suburbs across the sea. And they empty out right here in front of downtown Seattle. And you see they're joining in through this big boulevard here. Now, the main thing to talk about is that what has triggered this whole waterfront project is that right here where I'm pointing across was a massive highway. And because American city planners in their infinite wisdom in the 50s and 60s, they were putting highways on the waterfronts. And that made them extremely unpleasant and ugly and noisy and polluted. And one good thing that happened here in Seattle is that highway was removed several years ago, and that's what initiated this whole project to rebuild the waterfront. But before that, it was planned and talked about and so on for ages, for decades, and that's why I'm joking that they've been working on it for hundreds of years. It feels that way. And now you see here, after they have removed the highway, they have started working on what is replacing it. And they're also rebuilding many of the things that are on the waterfront. And for example, the ferry terminal itself, as you can see here, there's a project going on, and the ferry terminal is getting redone. This is probably part of it here, or part of the street improvements, or the new way they're doing things, but this also is under construction. I want to point out that this is where the highway was. It was running above, it was high, it was a bridge.
Sorry.
So the highway was on a bridge, they went through here, and the street was here, so they removed the highway. However, now you see how the highway has been replaced by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes of traffic. So this right here is what they replaced the highway with, at least in this area, at least for the time being. So you see how there's a massive intersection here, but I heard this is so because, as you see, the ferry traffic is coming out right there. And so if there was no big road here, there would be nowhere for all this traffic to go, or at least it couldn't empty efficiently or something like that. And the Port of Seattle is one of the major landowners here on the waterfront, including the ferry terminal. And they put their foot down and they did this more road infrastructure. So it appears at the moment that right here they have replaced a highway with a highway, because you see how there are 3 lanes going each way, which is basically a highway. And it's noisy, and the whole idea of pedestrian zone that they're talking about isn't really here, at this southern end of it at least, by the ferry terminal. The ferry terminal remains heavy car-based or car-centric infrastructure. And that's upset a lot of people, because we've been waiting for decades for the waterfront to become pedestrian friendly. In this direction here is Pioneer Square, and you see also Smith Tower, the triangular tower. And that's the historic beginning of Seattle. This is where the city started. It's a historic neighborhood which they've been trying to rejuvenate also for hundreds of years, it seems. And here they're claiming that they're working on the connectivity, the pedestrian connectivity of Pioneer Square, that neighborhood behind me, with the waterfront here. But as you can see, you have to go through a million lines of traffic and all the ferry traffic that empties out here every 15 minutes or so. So I don't know how exactly they can call this a pedestrian connection, or maybe they just haven't done it yet after talking about it for so long. And from here I'm going to keep moving north along the waterfront and talk about all the projects. To the right, you see here downtown Seattle, which the good thing is no longer obstructed by the giant highway bridge on 2 levels that was here. That's a big improvement I like. On the ground, yet more improvements are pending, but very slowly. I think they started taking down the viaduct, I don't know, almost 10 years ago at this point, or when they even finished. You see above here, there's a makeshift temporary bridge to connect downtown to foot traffic with the ferry terminal. And the ferry terminal itself is being rebuilt. So all this is being rebuilt at the moment. I will show you overlaid plans of what it's going to look like, at least a visual rendering of it. And see here, all this construction is going to be the new ferry terminal. And here yet more fenced-off construction everywhere. It's not really yet a pleasant walking environment at the moment in September 2022, after decades of this, because most of it is under construction, or there are 7 lanes of traffic you have to cross with, or they're on your side, and it's not quite nice. Now here was the original overpass to connect downtown. They have taken it apart. They've put a temporary one on there that I showed you. And I think they will be rebuilding this one now. So they can make a more robust and wider one perhaps. But yeah, this is how it's supposed to go to downtown after that. I think this is pretty recent on the right here, where they have destroyed a lot. I think there was a road running here called Alaskan, I think. And that road may be getting destroyed and turned into green space. So they have reached the point currently where they have destroyed it, and they haven't done much other than that. From here, I am starting to actually reach some of these areas which are intended to be a pedestrian zone and have some commerce and some entertainment. This is supposed to be Seattle's face, basically. It's the face of the city. It's where tourists are supposed to come. It's where you're supposed to hang out when you're downtown. There was, you know, in recent decades, an initiative and a vision to make downtown Seattle a place where people want to be and live and hang out and visit, because historically it has been really just office towers and very few people live or spend time here. Here are some of the iconic restaurants here, Ivar's. You see since 1931 on the waterfront, and it is right on the pier. You can get fish, it's quite good fish, and you can hang out there. Big. There's also the counter, there's the sit down, they call the Acres of Clams. We have come here, we have videos about this place, we like it a lot, and we'll probably come a little later. I continue north. This here is Pier 54. Gift shops and whatnot. On my right here, continuous construction site. I will show you renderings of what is the future of that. And I'll also show you the timeline. I think it's still years in the future. And I'll do the math on the screen of how long this whole project has taken. But for the most part, the waterfront is cool because it has these piers and they stretch into the water on stilts. So you see here, if I just turn on one of them, I am over the water. There's the water. And I can keep going this way. There are shops and there are views. There also are boats coming out. So this one coming in now, I think it's a little cruise of the harbor. I don't think that takes you anywhere in particular. Some do, some don't. Some are strictly for touring. Some are actually functional infrastructure like the ferries and the water taxi. You see here some totems, some of the traditional art of the people that lived here before Seattle was built. And here you see this Argosy cruise, the Salish Explorer. Salish is the name of the sea that you're seeing here, the Salish Sea. And behind it is the Ferris wheel of Seattle. On this side you see the huge ferry and the Seattle Fire Department boat. And then you see there West Seattle and the suburbs where the ferries are going. So that's Bainbridge Island and Bremerton on that side. And on that side you can see the big ships. And you can see the cruise terminal in the far end as well. So you see a lot of water infrastructure is here. Here is some of the Seattle skyline. You see how another pier on the other side is on stilts over the water. And the boats are pulling into this pier, so in fact it is a functioning pier. And yeah, that's the general shape of the Seattle waterfront, how it has been historically. So you see how that is the shape of the Seattle waterfront. You have this main strip I'm walking right now, and on this side, on the left, you see the piers. And the new addition is really what is going to be happening over there, where is now a construction site. They're replacing the road that was here immediately on my right with green space. They're talking about tens of thousands of trees or something like that. I hope it's true. To supposedly make this a more pleasant walk. I am going past another pier with commerce. And this is one of the nicest piers, actually, one of the main ones. Here is this pier, and it's more important and more kept up and more ornate because of this Argosy cruise. And that's really the main place to take a boat and go out on the bay. If you're from out of town or in town, doesn't matter. If you want to get on a boat, right, your place is right here. Today is a holiday, Monday, Labor Day. So there are probably extra people here, and I wanted to come on such a day to show it a bit more lively. You can see here people are lining up to get on this boat. Enjoy the sea for the day. It's a nice day, it's sunny. And so I want to explore a bit more what's been happening here, because here this construction is capped onto here. Now this road you see down here still remains. Cars are parked here. Cars keep coming this way. And cars are parked here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes or so. And then you have the new road which they just built. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more lanes. And then a 6th lane. So we see here there continue to be an extremely high number of lanes. And you see the noise and the traffic and the pollution that goes with all that is present here, making this a much less enjoyable walking environment, unfortunately. I'm continuing north. There's a famous oyster house called Elliott's. That's a chain of seafood restaurants. And Elliott is the name of the bay. This is Elliott's Bay on the Puget Sound in the Salish Sea, to be precise. And this is Pier 56. Coming up here on another busy pier. It's called Miners Landing. And there indeed was a gold rush here, so they celebrate a lot of the gold rush heritage. The gold rush wasn't in Seattle. Seattle was the last stop to supply before you go to Alaska. And this Miners Landing showcases that heritage. There are boats that leave out of here. You see how you can sail. You can get a sailboat, another kind of boat. Right here are more sea tours, Salish sea tours. That's again the sea we're on. And behind there is the wheel. There's a totem pole here. I actually really like the totem pole. So let's show you that in a little more detail. Totem pole. There's a famous restaurant here as well called the Crab Pot, but there are many more. Right here, you see lots of food, kind of touristy stuff. Neon, the Crab Pot restaurant is probably the main attraction in this area. But there's all these counters as well. You see how many people are lining up for seafood. So plenty of people have come out today for Labor Day. Here's Miners Landing. I'm not going to go in, but there's some arcade stuff and entertainment. Here there's a gift shop, Pirates Plunder, and so on. Here on the right, I've always wondered what this machinery was. I'll probably look it up and show you on the screen, but it's got steam. I know that much because in the cold it steams a lot. And next to it is storage, a very interesting choice. Continuing north is interesting because more major projects are coming up, but one thing to mention here is the amount of people. See, a lot of people, and in fact actually a small walking zone. It's not all that much space to walk. You know, this is meant to be a major pedestrian improvement. At the moment, there's still cars parked right there and a massive road on the other side, and yet pretty constricted walking space. It will probably be improved once it's finished, but I don't know with their centennial timeline when that will be, and if I'm alive to enjoy it, to be honest. I long ago gave up being excited for this project because they've been really, really slow in pulling it off. So here we go. I guess a whole lot of the space that could be used for walking is taken up by this stuff, kind of constraining the amount of walking space. Here too, we are seeing how this road is the old one, it's been closed and it will probably be destroyed soon. Currently not in use. On that side, they have redone that road, so that's the new road. So basically the road is going inward a bit and this space is getting cleared off. So soon, hopefully, at least a decade or two from now, there will be green space here. And they will, I heard, keep at least 4 lanes, and it looks like a turning lane, maybe, so 4 or 5 lanes and maybe even some parking lanes. So there's still probably going to be a few hundred lanes right here. Not exactly what you think when you think about a walking zone or a pedestrian improvement. Over there you see in the distance a bunch of stairs, new stairs, I believe. Those are part of the connectivity improvements. The downtown is on a hill behind there, and you need staircases, big ones, and a lot of them to be able to properly connect from downtown to the waterfront. Right now I'm standing where the site of among the most construction of always, and this is the aquarium next to me. The aquarium itself is being rebuilt, and then in front of me here, this is going to be a huge construction of a giant overpass which comes all the way from Pike Place Market at the top there near the crane, and it comes down all the way. It's like a massive cascading staircase. I'm going to show you a rendering. So right now I will walk as close as I can to that and show progress, if any, exists. Right here among the construction zone, they are keeping traffic alive and also allowing a crossing. You see how people are walking through all these fences and concrete blocks. Okay, crossing the street. You see here some of the promotional material coming to the waterfront, and there are renderings of the new aquarium and a seal. So they're promoting what will be happening here. At the moment, this too is just a big construction site. They're probably paving the way, building up some of these scaffolding and so on so they can connect. Where there are people standing, if you can see behind the crane and the chimneys, all the way down to here, to the street level there, is going to be connected by a big feature. Having seen the renderings and the design of that, there's some greenery, but it looks like 95% concrete. They're just going to dump 1 million tons of concrete on the waterfront. I can't say that I'm a big fan of that idea. I think it could have been much more elegant and attractive than what they're about to do. But it's still an improvement over what was, so I guess we can't complain too much. Here's the closest look pretty much I can get of this project. I will give you the rendering on the screen and the timeline of the project. You see the current environment, right? Concrete and gravel and construction fences, scaffolding. That's really the current situation on the waterfront. And it has been this way for years and years now. Traffic is non-stop as well. It never ends. I hope this road right here is shut, but it looks like they're building a tunnel for the traffic, so I don't fully know whether the green space is supposed to continue here or what. I'll try to find out from the plans whether the same plan I explained earlier. If you remember earlier, I said green space is supposed to be immediately adjacent next to the walk here. I don't know if that continues all the way, because if it's just over there, that would be a really small improvement. But as of right now, the old road remains right here behind me. And they're building a little tunnel for this traffic to remain. On this side, you can see a lot more construction, and here is going to be that giant project I was explaining to you. Right here, it will be a huge feature with 300 billion tons of concrete or something like that. At least that's what the rendering looks like. You see right here, this is going to be rebuilt. It's already being rebuilt. We'll have to see how it comes out. As of right now, it's just a massive construction project. Many, many years have passed. One thing they did redo recently, and they have been promoting, is this new pier. This is Pier 62, and it's entirely based on walking space. They've been talking about it on social media. I have not been since it has been made. So I think they made it during the pandemic. And let's see what they've done. It's basically concrete with a wood grain, funny. It's not really wood. And it has some restrooms. One of them looks like in a trailer, and 4 more are the nasty honey buckets. So I guess they just couldn't be bothered to make a real bathroom here. So they did this very, very unsightly, ghetto-looking bathroom station. A mini soccer field, interesting. I like that actually. Can play on the sea with this view. Just a little bit of a small soccer game. Here we have cornhole, America's pastime. And we have some chess with some art. That's kind of nice. I like that. Looks kind of like a counter with seating along the edge of the whole thing. This pier is an improvement because until it was built, there was no real vast space to just catch a breather on the waterfront. As you can see, the whole thing is basically busy and traffic and crammed in construction, and there's nowhere to quiet down and catch your breath. But this pier now exists. It looks like an older version of it exists next to it, which has been closed for perhaps remodeling, I don't know. You see right here, there's another space in parallel. It looks older and dated and so on, and it has been closed. So there's more space to create more pedestrian environment, kind of like a park, right on the sea, and I'm all for that. Here are life jackets for emergency use in case someone falls overboard. That's a nice touch, I like that. Here's the sea. You're seeing here how downtown Seattle runs in parallel to the waterfront as I pan the camera. Nice seating here, as well as a little bit of shade. Shade is good, just not that much of it is here. But then again, in Seattle, you normally want sun. Only for 3 months you're hiding from the sun. So yeah, I like this pier. What I do not like as much is how plain it is with this fake concrete with wood grain. And the bathroom is a disgrace, what they've done there. It's really ugly, and it's gross to go into these portable toilets instead of a proper bathroom. So as a longtime Seattle resident, at first when I was newer to the city and I heard that they're going to be redoing the waterfront and make some really pleasant environment, like a big park, like kind of like a face to the city, a facade, where it's new and well developed, like many cities around the world, I was really excited. I was like, yes, our city is finally going to be made nice and catch up to so many of these great places, like, you know, the Marina Bay in Singapore, or anything you look at in Dubai, or, you know, the grand boulevards and avenues of Paris, or that famous stretch in Chicago. You know, Seattle has none of those things. And this here, the removal of this freeway, was a very, very good opportunity for the city to actually create such a place, put itself on the map as a, you know, avant-garde, modern and wealthy city, pleasant city, where you want to be like a destination for you to take a vacation perhaps. And based on what they're doing, first of all, I stopped being excited for it a long time ago because it has taken so long that, you know, my life is going away. It's like half gone. And we're still waiting. As you can see, the whole place is in shambles. This construction everywhere around me. They are nowhere near done. I've been hearing about this most of the time. I've been here 20 years in Seattle, and yet it's not here yet. The other thing is what they're actually delivering, because at first when they start talking about, oh, it's going to be great, it's going to be for walking, it's going to be a park, okay, that sounds amazing. However, you see what's going on. Like right here, they're not doing anything. I'm walking next to a 5-lane road with 2 lanes of parking on the side. And that to me is not really a park, and it's a huge missed opportunity. So truly the park would be just behind me, but you saw how at the ferry already there's an enormous highway practically with 7-8 lanes. And then there's just several blocks that they're actually putting green space that I saw, that they've currently just destroyed the road, and they've made a new road on the side. I don't see that many blocks of green space planned here. I just don't see it. So is this going to remain as is? And I don't know.